One Cam Ward puts on one final show as a Cane. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. We do appreciate you being here. It's Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, so lock that in each and every Wednesday as we march through the spring season into summer. And then once we hit summer, football can only be so far away. Cam Underwood, State of the U next to me, of course. Show number 420. And again, we appreciate your comments and questions. We also appreciate your contributions in any such way. Please like and subscribe, of course, and financial contributions are welcome. Kim, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. Can't complain. Good to be here. Good to see you guys again. Because if you had your notifications on, you saw that Fred and I had a post-pro day review, kind of instant reaction on Monday. So those things, like I said, doing more. Had the commitment breakdown piece for Xavier and Mallory and whatnot. Juan Manuel, what's up? Good to see you. Falconer TRX and everything. So we'll get to all that. But yeah, you're doing well. Can't complain as we work our way through spring practice.
Falconer TRX setting us up, kicking us off, doing all those good things. Thank you so much for that, sir.
Yes, sir.
And again, comments and questions. We're going to work through all the standard stuff that you might imagine. We'll hit on recruiting, spring football, what we've heard thus far. And first, though, we might as well say goodbye to the guys that are moving on to the next level, or certainly hope to be. And one guy has no worries, at least technically, in that concern. And that would be the guy on display first and foremost, Mr. Cam Ward.
Number one on your program, number one on his jersey, number one in your heart, Cameron Ward. Yeah, put on a show. He did exactly what he set out to do, which was showcase his prodigious talent. I thought that it was a very strong pro day. Wasn't perfect because nobody's perfect. He missed a couple throws. His speed outs to the right-hand side specifically were like a lot of them were complete, but the ball placement a little bit too far inside, which, at the NFL level is problematic. But he had a lot of really good ball placement on, throws between the numbers, the ones that are like right here in front of you, even to the left side and whatnot. He was really, really pinpoint. Overthrew a couple or one flag route to the left. Yeah, like he had a ball that like slipped out of his hand on a speed out to the right. So then he was like, hold on, man, let's do this again. Bring it back for the wide receiver because, the wide receivers are being evaluated on the reps as well. He was like, that's on me. Run that back. I did say, at the end when they ran whatever triple reverse throwback trick play to Cam Ward in the end zone, I tweeted, I was like, okay, we've lost the plot and this needs to be the last play. And it was. So yeah, that was good. But when you had the GM, president of football operations, head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, 2 other personnel people, and 4 social media or content creation staffers from the TV side and from the social media side from the Tennessee Titans, who picked 1, all there at the same time. Come on. And Cam made a nice throw running to his left to Elijah Arroyo and it was a dot. And he was running over towards that group as he made that throw. And he said something, but basically on the live reaction, I think it was Juan Manuel said, basically, are you not entertained? Yeah, he did everything that he needed to do and showed exactly who he is on the field. Moreover, there have been several people who said, that they've been to many pro days, listed all of the quarterbacks of the last 3 years and said that the pro day throwing session from Cam Ward was the most impressive they've seen. It was somebody on NFL Network. I saw that come down. And then called out, I was at Drake May. I was at Jaden Daniels. I was at these ones. And that was the best that I've ever seen from a professional evaluator. So, there was that. And then, yeah, several other people like Louis Riddick was there and he said it was super strong. So I'm giving you the additional information. So it's not just me, not just Cam who went to Miami and creates content about Miami. Unaffiliated people with the University of Miami saying these things. And the biggest positive, I believe, or positives kind of went hand in hand. Number one, both ACC Network and NFL Network had expansive, basically just spotlights on the University of Miami. Like, we didn't really see many of the other drills that were run because it was like, oh, we're interviewing people and we're showing this and we're doing that. And it was just basically a couple hours worth of hype and commercial for the University of Miami football program, which I love. And in all of that, they reiterated Cam Ward was very intentional and said, hey, I know that I could throw at the combine. I know I could do that there. I could do those things. But this is a team game, and I played with a team, and I want the guys who were on my team that helped me have the success that I had to get the spotlight. And as the ACC Network host, I forget her name, Taylor, I believe it is, said, basically a rising tide or a high tide raises all ships, kind of a thing. So I know 32 teams are going to be here. I know there's going to be GMs, coaches, evaluators from all of the NFL teams here are going to Miami. So I'm going to save my throwing session specifically because my light shines bright, and I want the others on this team to be able to have the eyes on them as well at the same time. So I thought that was really, really impactful in a positive way, shows the kind of person that he is, the leader that he is. And yeah, just was able to have, the University of Miami front and central for 4 p.m. till about 6:45 on 2 national TV networks at the same time. So that was really, really cool. In terms of the bench press numbers came out, some of the vertical jump numbers came out, and things like that. You didn't really see too many of those other position drills. They did showcase Xavier Restrepo running his. It wasn't the 3. Well, they showed the 3 cone drill, the 5 yards, 10 yards, 5 yards back to the middle, the 20-yard drill. They showed the L drill too, so you go down and up and you did that one thing. And yeah, but I mean, a lot of those were going on in the background of the interviews and everything. Something not for this year's draft, but I will say, Markel Bell is a giant, and he was standing in the background of when Damon Martinez ran thumb drill, and it was just like, how's the air up there, Stretch? You could see, I guarantee you, every team who was there saw him and was like, okay, he's not in this draft, but put it on the list, get the all 22, this kid, because he's a giant. So that was good. The passing drills, skeleton, whatever you want to call it, the throwing section with the receivers and Cam Ward was really good. Everybody showcased what they could do. It was funny. Both broadcast. I was watching on NFL Network more because I appreciate their commentary more during the actual session. And they were like, "Yeah, man." Sometimes they run these short routes and they give time for the receivers to catch their breath. And I was like, "Oh, you haven't caught on to the fact that all of the very short routes were Cam McCormick on the rep. He's running a spot route. He's running a stop route. He's running, stick, run to the sticks and turn around. He ran one vertical route. He ran a seam in red zone, but a 9th-year tight end who blew out his knee 6 times or whatever. Like, yeah, fine. Hey, look, I'm not hating. I promise you. It's just like, look, but you can't do what Elijah Arroyo does. You can't do what Jacoby George or Xavier Restrepo does. And I love that they didn't have him do that. They're like, look, you can start off, it's block and release. It's these quick little hookups, finding spaces. Because that's where if you can find a role, it's doing that. It's not doing the physical freak stuff that the physical freaks can do. I just thought it was funny because every time they were like talking about, oh yeah, that's a real quick route, or oh, that's just a button hook or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's because who's running it. But overall, yeah, it was a strong day. There was one major negativo. Falconer TRX brings it up. FSU and FSU are chirping. X was slow at Pro Day, but beat both. Both teams. Yeah. Shane the Cane. X's shuttle time in Pro Day would have been the 8th fastest at the combine, which is 4.21 for a short shuttle. Short burst and great route runner. FSU and UF wish that they had him. Yeah. I get all that. But Xavier Restrepo running a 40 was malpractice, honestly. And I just think it was pride over good sense. And I said this on social media. Restrepo ran 4.82 and 4.83, 4.84 in his two. Exactly. Now I think at the end they were trying to say, oh, the official was 4.76, which is still would make him the slowest. Sorry, the receiver with the slowest 40 time ever drafted if he were drafted. Because I believe currently it's 4.75 is the slowest receiver ever to be drafted. And I heard from someone who was there and then a couple other people who were there who told me on Friday, Restrepo was told not to run. The advice given to him was like, do not run the 40. And he said, no, I'm going to do it, which I believe was prideful. It just was. And so that was my thought. And like, I know these people, I trust these people who were there. So then I'm saying, okay, if they're telling me they heard Restrepo being told not to run, and he said, no, I'm going to go run, pride. And I don't agree with it. And, before he jumped down my throat, Elijah Arroyo didn't run his 40 either, but he, you have him on tape running 21, almost 22 miles an hour. You had him doing all the position drills at a speed that's not going to engender conversation of a negative way. Restrepo, if he would have not ran the 40, run the short shuttle, which would have been 8th fastest at the combine, and ran the drills, it's not a talking point. But he did. Then he comes out on Twitter Tuesday morning, says, well, I don't usually talk on social media. I don't pay attention to what people are saying, but now I got to say something. When I was warming up, I hurt my right hamstring, so I wasn't in prime physical condition. And I've been training, with Nick Bomarito and whoever else. So I've been 4.53 to 4.58 laser timed for 2 weeks. And I thought I could do that even if I was not at 100% and Pride. That's your pride. Because now you have, from what I had heard from multiple independent people, right, that he was told not to run on Monday. Then he coming out, oh, I hurt myself while I was getting prepped to go run. That circle of knowledge is complete. So everybody in your corner saw you tweak a hamstring and then said, don't run. You don't got to do this if you're not 100% healthy. Then you did it. Now you don't put on tape. It's all over social media. You have it. When I timed it, because I saw Safid Din from the Miami Herald, he tweeted a video of the second run. He says about 4.8-ish. I clocked just using my phone timer, which is inaccurate. But I mean, just watching it and then trying to count, I got 4.78 on that run, which is 2 100s away from 4.8. So I'm like, even with that, which might have been a little bit early, honestly, I don't even know. But like, bro, so all of that, and he's like, well, basically, and like, look, I get I'm a God-fearing Christian and everything, like I believe that my steps are ordered and like everything, but just like, dude, you also have good sense and free will. If you have counsel and they're telling you, look, you yourself said, yeah, I was warming up, but my hamstring don't feel right. And multiple people are telling you, then don't run, don't do the 40. Because again, right here, your short shuttle, elite, you go out here and all of a sudden, and he was running routes as running back. Right? He's running flat routes, option routes, Texas routes. He's showing other things in the passing game that are like, yo, on top of what you put on film. If all of that together and you didn't run the 40, this is a very different thing. Now you're doing damage control on the back end, and I think that that's malpractice. This is the same thing that happened with the bowl game when Mario Cristobal refused to make a simple statement saying it was always the plan for Cam Ward to come out at halftime. And you let the entire sports world excoriate Cam Ward for 10 days before you finally hopped on the microphone and did something. Why at every point are we doing damage control? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Buddy, you didn't have to do this at your biggest audition in front of all of these teams. And look, again, just look at the difference in the tone of the conversation for Elijah Arroyo, who's still injured, has put things on film and didn't run a 40, at a little bit and not 100% versus Xavier Restrepo, who fought through because, all I know is compete in everything. You ain't got no good sense to know, my body is maybe not 100% to do my best. It's frustrating to me because I want the best for him. Now, there's the other part of things of what Xavier Restrepo has put on film. All-time career leading receiver, catches, yards, touchdown in Miami Hurricanes history. And like I know people say, well, he ran 4.83. Doesn't matter. It matters, but it's not everything. You know what I mean? Like it is. I just hate that that's part of the conversation now. I think that his stock has definitely fallen from, potential second round pick where like he's firmly 4 or 5 or later now. And that I hate that overshadows everything else that he did in his career, that he did in this pro day and everything. I just think it's just such a terrible decision. I just think it was super duper prideful and it sucks, but like it's out there now. And so, hey, learn, grow, or whatever. But especially when you say, I knew that I wasn't near my best and elected to do it anyway. I just think that was foolish. And it's rough, but it is what it is.
So not necessarily that it was shown during Cam Ward's performance in Pro Day, but I'm guessing you've read quite a few scouting reports and mock drafts, and this list is going to be rather short. But what are supposedly his weaknesses or shortcomings?
Whom?
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward. The main thing that he needed to do this year was play on time in the pocket, and that was the thing that Shannon Dawson talked about in his interview with ACC Network, and it's all over film. Like I said last week when Nate Tice was going over and looking at things, and people said, "Oh, he couldn't do that." So like that's just a thing where you have to look. He has good but not elite arm talent or arm strength. I would personally give him, like an A-. Fred was saying he would give like a firm A on arm strength. I'm not going to go there. But I think that he has an NFL arm. It's above league average. It's not legendary though. He's not Jeff George, Dan Marino, Josh Allen, Jamarcus Russell with that kind of howitzer. He has a very good arm though. To my eye, the deep ball hangs a little bit sometimes with Cam Ward. And also, just the propensity to hold the ball in search of the big play. I think those are the things that are being talked about. Also, he's 6'1" 3/8", so he's not elitely, he doesn't have elite height. And that's just, part and parcel of things. Quick hands, very strong arm, improving ball placement, but there's still room for growth, even with the growth that I think we saw on Monday. That is part of his game. He's a voracious leader, a ferocious leader, and he's a great teammate and representative of your organization and program. Those are strong things, and he just has, he is by far the most talented quarterback in this class. So if you're looking for one and need one, like Tennessee is at number one, then, you need look no further. Cam Ward does have private workouts with both Tennessee and Cleveland at 2 scheduled in the next couple of days. So we'll see exactly what they do with those. I tweeted out when the Titans workout was reported that basically they're going to have him do every throw possible in their playbook. And like every throw in the world is not necessarily a throw in your playbook, you know what I mean? But anyone that could be in the playbook, they're going to have him do. I'll be interested to see, what his Cleveland workout is also, but I would, surmise something along those same lines. But yeah, his ceiling is definitely higher than anybody in this draft. There are some who believe that Shedeur Sanders' floor is higher. I don't necessarily agree. I think the variance for Shedeur Sanders is much narrower. I will say that. But I think that, again, when we looked at the Hex performance hex scores for Cam Ward and Pat Mahomes last week from their last year in college. Not saying they're the same player, but looking at the performance, ratings and everything, I think that it's a very similar thing where, like, yeah, Cam Ward, like Patrick Mahomes has spoken about the fact that he raised his risk profile to make some wild kind of plays because he knew he was playing with plumbers and electricians, right? Cam Ward didn't do that, but especially at Miami with that incredible offensive line where he would have 8 and 9 second plays, like scanning the field from sideline to sideline 2 and 3 times. He would do that in search of the home run ball because, like, he had the ability to do that. And I think that that's been ascribed as like lowering his floor for performance in the NFL, which I don't necessarily agree with, but that is a change in output that will need to happen when he goes to the league.
Please hit the like button and subscribe here at the Voice of College Football. If you show up late, you can always just rewind and watch the entire episode each and every week. Also, keep in mind that if you have a good or service or your own personal brand, anything involving sponsorship where you can partner with us here at the Voice of College Football, specifically on the Miami channel, on the Miami show with us, you can do that very easily. Hit us up at sponsorships@vocfb.com, and we will specialize in meeting your needs. And we certainly have had a number of satisfied customers through the years. So once again, whether it's your personal brand, goods or services, anything that you have where you'd like to partner with us here on the Miami channel in particular. All right.
Ian Coleman, great question. But Cam, hey, what's going on, boss? Who do you think will be the first player drafted off this version? Awesome Pro Day breakdown. Well, thank you for joining us for the Pro Day breakdown or catching it on the record afterwards. Off of the current, like 2025 Miami Hurricanes, Markel Bell is a Francis Mauigoa, excuse me. Whoa, hello. Big 61 at right tackle. So both tackles, I think, could potentially be first off the board. Ruben Bain would have to have a Miami Central-esque, leading the country in sacks kind of a thing to really, really elevate. Anybody beyond that would have to really have a transformational season to the level that we haven't seen. Whether that's, whomever that might be, they would have to like really, 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 really step up. The wild card that I will mention is Carson Beck because of the valuation of the quarterback position, and he was thought highly of going into last season. He's a very known quantity. He's been productive at the college level, so we'll see what his performance is like at Miami. But yeah, I think honestly, you just go back and look at the recruiting rankings from a few years ago, and it would be those guys at the top would be the potential players from this year's team to be drafted the highest. Ruben Bain, Markel Bell, Francis Mauigoa, and going from there probably.
Sticking to this football season with this Miami team, and since you do bring up Carson Beck, how concerned are you that he's going to be late arriving in regards to being on the field, throwing passes in real situations to his teammates? Or at what point will you be concerned that he's not capable of doing that?
Not concerned now. He's on track for his timeline for recovery. Like I say, he's still doing the kind of shooting drill, short throwing things, lying on his back, like flicks or whatever. So not concerned at this point. I would be concerned if we get to fall camp and he's not full go. I would like it to be earlier. I would like it to be like him to be able to have some reps over the summer in the, voluntary workouts at Tropical Park or whatever type thing. But yeah, until like we get to official camp and he's not throwing at full go, up until then, I'm good. So I would say probably another 3.5 months from today, or 3 months. I'm not worried anytime soon. Like I would say Same thing that I said about recruiting a couple years ago. Get to 4th of July and then talk to me.
Falconer TRX is wondering where George disappeared to. Not showing up this week. Smoked too much turf.
Yeah, well, sometimes you either smoke, or maybe he's doing a little dip where you put thing in there because it's the. Oh boy,
Knowing
Falconer
George and witnessing George over the years, I would not be surprised at anything that you would fill in that blank with. So
yeah, that's funny.
Sure. So we, I'm guessing, are just shy of halfway through spring practice in terms of number of sessions in the books.
Indeed. I want to hit a couple more draft questions just real quick before we transition to that. So my boy Phil Wells, what's going on, Coach? I need to call you. I'm gonna call you, boy. But yeah, good friend of mine, work together, has his own coaching, mental health podcast and everything. So be sure you go check him out. If Cam Ward was in last year's draft class, where would he be picked? As I look at last year's draft class, Michael Penix went at 8, Bo Nix went at 12, and JJ McCarthy at 10. So you had 8, 10, and 12 for after your Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. I don't think that Cam Ward would be drafted 1 or 2, and then Drake May at 3, honestly. So you got boom, boom, boom at the top 3. I think that those stay the same, specifically for athleticism, pedigree, height, and traits. I think that they stay where they were picked. I have him firmly as QB4 though, behind them. Now, does Atlanta take him at 8? Do the Titans last year take him at 7 instead of JC Latham? Do the Giants take him instead of Malik Neighbors? So I think anywhere from 6 to 8 as the 4th quarterback taken, if the order was the same and the need for the position is the same. Yeah, I would say probably quarterback 4 between 6 to 8 in the 2024 last year's NFL draft class feels about right to me.
And does that feel right based on his final season at Miami, or had he left Washington State and gone directly to the NFL draft?
I was putting his last season at Miami into like his current draft stock into that slot. I'm going to keep it a bean with you. He came to Miami because he wasn't going to be drafted anywhere by 6 to 8. I think he was going to be more of like a 5th or 6th rounder by his grade, which when he got that grade back, he was like, now I knew that he believed what he showed in 2024 for the Hurricanes was in him, but had not shown that, was not thought that way, which is why he took that about face in the portal, came to Miami to show and prove. So that's with his current status as a prospect being interjected. Because had he had the status to be drafted between 6 to 8 last year, he would have never came to Coral Gables. So good question for the clarity, but there was no night and day difference.
Falconer TRX. Beck is a question mark. Offensive line and new receivers give me hope.
Offensive line for sure. We're going to have one of the best offensive lines in the country, period. I think, honestly, in the opener, Miami and Notre Dame, you could say those are probably the 2 best offensive lines, pretty much hands down, as in terms of what we're looking at going into this season. So when you have that helps out your running game, that helps out your quarterback. New receivers giving hope. I still think that we need another 1 receiver. It'll be interested to see. I think that we need an outside receiver for sure. It'll be interesting to see if we go get a slot. And Miami tried. They tried to get Zachariah Branch. They tried to get a couple other dudes to play slot in the first portal and did not get them. Do Ray Joseph and Malachi Toney, individually, collectively, whatever, show enough to preclude the staff from going and getting another slot. That is something that I will be interested to see.
So we've got a super chat, and I am hunting down the tweet to back it up, and I see it here. Paolo saying, what are your thoughts on Brian Baldinger's tweet about Miami practice? I viewed as him talking about the guys who will play on the future Sundays. So the Brian Baldinger comment looks something like this from X. I went to Mario Cristobal's practice on Tuesday. Most impressive practice I have seen at any level in years. I believe in Mario. I believe in the Canes. Power to UM.
Yeah, I mean, that's high praise from, a former NFL lineman, a longtime analyst, and, who goes to college practices, pro days, NFL practices, saying that the practice that he saw on Tuesday was the most impressive practice he's seen at any level in years is high praise. So it gives me hope for the future. Like if we're having practices to that caliber where, now this is the second thing. Like I said, you have multiple guys saying that the pro day on Monday was the most impressive that they've seen in person, specifically the throwing section from Cam Ward. Then you have Baldinger saying, hey, I went to practice the next day. That's the most impressive practice at any level. Because he could have just said impressive practice in many years, and people would have assumed, oh, he meant college practices, but those are different than NFL. He said, no, at any level. Yeah, that shows me that Miami is making strides towards where we want to be, the standard being the standard, and working to that. It's still the spring. There's still a long way to go this spring, and we haven't even hit off-season, voluntary workouts or fall camp. So take it with a measure of salt, but it is very heartening to get this kind of praise and feedback from someone with the credentials of Brian Baldinger who would know. So yeah, that's really, I take great joy in that, but it's only a step. It's not like, okay, well, I'm predicting national championship, better than 2001, none of that. But this is definitely good feedback to have, and hopefully will then push the entire organization to continue to move the ball forward.
What is the saying when somebody's absent and they're being talked about, that their ears were itching?
Ears burning, yep.
Yes, burning, itching, something like that. Well, George has come in guns a-blazing. So a number of Miami insults. I chose just one. So George is here. Yep. Okay.
Welcome, George. Good to see you.
So that's at least a truthful statement. I'll say that. Okay. Now we move on to the spring practice portion of the show.
Yeah.
And what kind of intel has been made known?
I mean, going from Falconer TRX's previous comment, the young wide receivers continue to acquit themselves very well. The freshman group, Dalen Upshaw, Joshua Moore, who had a diving catch in the montage put out by Hurricane Sport or Canes Football on Twitter, and then he mossed somebody with one hand in the end zone. A different play. That's like, see, now you're trying to get me hype, because at 6'4", you're jumping over a dude, one hand with the left hand. I don't know if he's right-handed or left-handed. I think he's right-handed, but one hand with the left hand, toe tap, boom, boom, mossed you, jumped, dunked on your head. That's the kind of receiver we haven't had. And he's the only one on the roster. Everybody else is, 6 foot, or sure, but somebody of that size and athleticism, hey, now you're an all-star. Malachi Toney continues to be the first name out of everybody's mouth at wide receiver this year. Or him and JoJo Trader continue to take steps forward. So that's been very good. The offensive line just continues to be a strength of this team, where you're going to have, guys competing for snaps, whether that's, all 5 of your starters. You add in a Ryan Rodriguez, who actually started the Florida game and then got injured, and then trying to work his way back. You got Tommy Kinsler trying to now work his way into the conversation at tackle, a guy who is built like an NFL tackle at like 6'6", 328, and I mean, pretty, not like much bad weight on him. Long arms, physical beast. Samson Okunlola, 5-star from a couple years ago, trying to make his headway in there. Those things are at the forefront. Defensive line, specifically Armando Blunt and Justin Scott at both, along the defensive line, taking big steps forward. Ruben Bain slimming down, looking like himself again, who, he got injured on the second play of the Florida game and was never the same for the rest of last season. Your transfers in the secondary really, doing well. Specifically Zachariah Poyser and Ethan O'Connor. Those guys really standing out. In terms of quarterback, it's, Emory Williams is the veteran, the elder statesman, and he's just further along than Judd and Luke. Luke is, having a little bit of that, oh my God, there's a linebacker in that window that wasn't there at the high school level, kind of, the speed of the game thing. And that's okay. That's okay. He's very talented. I, give him time. But if, there was the chatter, and I mean, I even said, I would like to see if he's able to push Emory Williams for the backup job going into this season. I don't think that's going to be the case. Judd is super physical and everything, but he's still a developmental player who's still only at the end of his first calendar year, going into year 2 of his development, or just starting year 2. So, there is that and everything. But yeah, I mean, it of the available quarterbacks, it's Emory. I still don't think if he ever has to start here, I still think that Miami's in trouble. I'm sorry. I think that he's a fine backup. And I think for spot duty or something, cool. But even going into 2026, I personally would need to see Miami either develop Luke, have Darion Coleman come in with his hair on fire, and or go get somebody else. I personally do not have faith in Emory Williams as the starter here at Miami ever again. But in terms of being the best quarterback of the crew this spring and looking like he's well on his way to locking down the backup job this year, that's kind of where we stand with things.
All right, folks, if for any reason you miss us on video, you've got no excuse. You can catch us on your favorite audio platform as well. We build out this platform as well on the audio side. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, those are the major ones. Miami Live posts sometime soon after we get done here, probably by Thursday for sure. I don't do that personally, but that should be posted by Thursday. If you need to listen to the audio again, we are building that up as well.
Dennis Marshall asked a real quick question. Who do I think might transfer out? Ask me again at the end of spring, because they're still just kind of, I don't think that roles have been defined enough for that at this point, but good question. We'll circle back.
So we saw a depth chart going into spring, and then that's not going to be revised or shown to anyone until it's shown again at the outset of August camp, correct? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Charles Johnson saying J.J. McCarthy went 4th. No, he didn't. Harvin Marison Jr. went 4th to Arizona.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Sorry, it just, shiny objects. I apologize. But yeah, so let me focus. Yeah, depth chart won't really be updated through the spring. That it wasn't even a depth chart. It was really just here's the roster. Like these are what the names on the list look like right now. Type joint. So, we'll get probably another roster with an early 2 deep at the beginning of fall, and then we get the one placard card with the roster and the depth chart at the opener, and that never gets updated from there on. So, but that's just how Mario does it. So we get the one where I'll say, these are positions, you might have a couple oars in there, and like literally every time I go in the press box, like, it's me, Brandon O'Doy, Brian the Beast London, like we sit in the same row, sat in the same row together for 8 years. And so whoever's there first always gets the cards. For all, there's like 5 of us in the row. There's a couple other guys, but in that same row, and you just pick up the lineup card. It's just like, okay, cool. So basically, I'm getting this every week for the opposing team because regardless of anything else, like the Miami portion of it doesn't change. But yeah, it is what it is.
I had a question on the tip of my tongue and it left me. Oh, Notre Dame. So having an elite opponent week 1, would you rather have a tune-up or 2, knowing that they're going to have the same advantage or disadvantage, or do you mind coming out of the gates with this kind of showdown?
I think it's situational, really. Like last year, like with Florida, like I said, I was not living in a universe where I considered the fact that we could lose that one. Like I was very, very, very confident, and we beat the hell out of them by 41-17 and left a solid 20-25 points on that field. In that situation, I was so like the state of our team and that roster and adding Cam Ward and everything, bring who you want to bring from jump. This year, a little more trepidatious. It's like, okay, well, is Carson Beck going to be 100% healthy? They say that he is, but I'm not sure yet. Okay, what about the defense? Here in spring, there are people saying, okay, the secondary looks a lot better. The linebackers, though, and they got a really good running back, and so you got to run fit. You got to, the linebackers will stop their running back, but then they got this good offensive line too. So can you get off these blocks? Things like there seem to be more questions right now heading into the Notre Dame game versus last year heading into the Florida game. So like I'm open to any and all things, and like, hey, respect all opponents and fear none. Like I'm fine with it. But like, yeah, logically, a year like this where there's a little bit more turnover and an offense that will not be the number 1 offense in America. It will not. I'm telling you now, stop it. Carson Beck is not Cam Ward. So if you're expecting that again, I don't know what I want to tell you. But yeah, it's not going to be that. So I would, in this situation, maybe like to have a FAMU game before the Notre Dame game or whatever. But in general, I'm fine with it. Respect all opponents and fear none. Line it up, roll the ball out there. Let's go get it.
Cam Underwood's here, of course, with myself. My name is Mark Rogers, and we do this each and every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It's Miami Hurricanes Live. And again, the audio is available on your favorite platform. And also, we've got a sponsorship available for anyone who would like to promote their personal brand or their product or service. And that has proven successful as based on the feedback that we've received. I won't go to the full-blown script and the graphic, but just trust me, we've had some very satisfied people that we've partnered with on other channels and the main channel and so forth. And certainly we've got the crowd here to be able to support and benefit anyone that would like to sponsor here on the Miami channel. All right. I have not seen any recruiting questions.
Well, there is one. I wanted to go back. Hold on one second. Nope. Okay, sorry. That was for Florida. Juan Manuel Upshaw Moss Connor for a touchdown. O'Connor, for a touchdown on Tuesday's practice. Great. Love to see that. Charles Johnson, 8-4, 9-3 would be good this season. One of those would be good. The other one would not. 9-3. 8-4, that's a little problematic. Hold on. There is a question. I know I saw it. Juan Manuel with the linebacker course versus Notre Dame's offensive line and running back. Can we play it game 6? Yeah, if it were later, that would be great. But we just talked about that one. True showstopper. This is the one. Cam, what is the top 5 recruits since I enrolled till now, which would be in this millennium since I enrolled in 2000, that we lost that hurt you the most? Number 1, Jeremiah Smith. Number 2, Amari Cooper, who I remember as a freshman summer at the old 7-on-7 tournament that was at Disney Wide World of Sports in Orlando with Miami Northwestern, where he was wearing like number 83 way back then. So him, just all the dudes who got away, man. Just Jeremiah Smith at the top because he's the best of all of them, and then fill in Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, Matthew Thomas, the linebacker, that's up there. Dalvin Cook, just because he terrorized Miami for years. So there's unfortunately a very long list, but something like that.
Why am I forgetting where Matthew Thomas went?
Florida State.
Matthew Thomas. What year was that?
2012, same recruiting class as Jermaine Grace and Dorial Green Beckham.
Huh.
That's the one famously where we tried to circle back on Sky Moore, the linebacker from American Heritage, who went to South Carolina.
Yep.
And Miami was all in. So it was funny, right? So I'm announcing. I was working at Miramar High School. I was announcing the ceremony because I was announcer for everything, or MC host. So I do that. Boom. One of my buddies, Dieter Kurtenbach, who now works for the Bay Area News Group covering basketball, he was covering preps down here after he had just graduated from Mizzou, and he was waiting on Dorial Green Beckham. I took out my phone, I saw it, and he was going to go interview Grace. I said, Dieter, DGB. He goes, yeah. So he's cheering his thing, and I'm like, okay, cool. The Steve Gorton from then the Sun Sentinel was at Miramar, and he was on the phone with one of his colleagues who was there at Booker T. Washington for Matthew Thomas's commitment. He commits to Florida State, interviews afterwards and said, Miami wasn't even in my top. It was like Florida State, USC, somebody else, and then Miami. But Miami was all in on a 2 linebacker class of Matthew Thomas and Jermaine Grace. This is the same year as the running back, the one who went to Arkansas, whose mama took the papers from South Plant.
Jonathan Williams?
Alex Collins.
Who played with Jonathan Williams. Yeah, in the same backfield. Yep.
Yes. And so then after Miami gets the news that Matt Thomas, nicknamed 6 for his jersey number, so 6 picked Florida State. And then in the interview was just like, I wasn't even looking at Miami a little bit. You say, oh my God, we built our whole class around these 2 linebackers, and we need 2 linebackers. So now let's go back to Sky Moore. Sky Moore, who's from South Florida also, went to American Heritage, wanted to come to Miami really, really badly. We told him no. Call all over the place trying to get to this man. And so we end up calling Chad Wilson. This is Quincy Wilson and Marco Wilson's dad, who played at Miami, who was the defensive coordinator at American Heritage, calling him saying, hey, Chad, cool. Yeah, please go get Sky. We need him. We want to offer him now on signing day, as they're in the auditorium at American Heritage. He's about to sign. And they didn't have Sky's personal number. So they called Chad Wilson, and he's just like, bro, he's about to step to the podium and announce right now. And so obviously we did not end up getting him. He stayed with his commitment to South Carolina and everything. And I'm not talking out of turn, because all these things are out there and have been said for many, many years. But just thinking back to that, so some old recruiting shenanigans that are that had transpired previously in years gone by.
Jermaine Grace, a better linebacker than Matthew Thomas? Now that you mention Matthew Thomas and throw up the number 6, I do recall him. I can't say that I remember how good he was.
Oh, no. He was like a top 10 player in America. Like, no, it was Matthew Thomas and Jermaine Grace was the two in that class, and he wore number 2 in Miramar, But like it was 6, Country Grace, and then that's it. But yeah, all of those things happened.
But in terms of who turned out to be a better college player,
I mean, they were about the same. Maybe Country Grace a little bit more productive, but I mean, yeah. And I mean, but then at the end, like he got kicked off the team and senior and like all those. Yeah.
because Sky Moore turned out to be better than both of them.
Exactly. And that's the ironic thing because and he like had a bunch of tackles his freshman year and everything, and so it's just like, well, if you not, yes. So, yeah.
Right. Any other questions, folks? Going once, going twice, going 3 times in regards to anything for Cam?
Well, I mean, I will just say, in terms of recruiting right now, Miami is doing a very, very good job of getting a lot of elite players on campus. We've already talked about, the commitments. We've already talked about getting Jackson Cantwell from Nixon, Missouri. Shout out to Jason Bourne down. Oh man, I just had this kid's name. Joel Irvin, there it is, from the west coast of Florida, Fort Myers, gigantic offensive lineman, like 6'6", 330, 340-ish, decommitted from Louisville. Miami's been pushing after him for a while. Look at him as a very solid player, looking at, a tackle in this class as well. I mean, Jackson Cantwell and like Kenny Pepe from IMG, those guys are, one's 6'8", 315, the other one's 6'7", 295, 305 or whatever. Both of those dudes are come on, we'll find spots. But you're looking at Joel Irvin and everything. So he is decommitted from Louisville finally. We'll see where he goes. There's a lot of there's like a Johnson kid from Tampa Berkeley Prep. He JJ is his initials. I forget his actual name, but he's a gigantic offensive lineman as well. Who you're looking at to bring in. There's been a lot of running backs coming down. I know that we did just get Javian Mallory's commitment, but you had Favor Akey from Ohio. You have Henry Olinger from Ohio. You have the Jamal Rule from Charlotte Christian, being coached by Greg Olson, adding to the list. He's a guy. You just had a Oregon commit on campus at running back as well. Like you just have a lot of elite dudes at a lot of positions. John Tavius Wyman committed to Georgia, continues to take visits. He has a teammate. He's a corner. His safety teammate, I forget his name, but he keeps coming down also for visits. You had the wide receiver from St. Augustine, Samorian Wingo. That was the name that was asked a couple of weeks ago. He's been down a bunch, and he actually came down this past week. Was supposed to be down for like a 2-day visit and then leave and then go to like Florida State for the weekend and things like that. He said, nah, I'm going to cancel that and then stay through the weekend at Miami around the program and then visiting the practices and everything. So I enjoy that greatly. So Samorian Wingo, that's, was the name that was, or that's a player that was asked about, but not using his name last week. There's been, connection there. Obviously, in the St. Augustine area, that's a very strong regional school for UF recruiting, just like Palm Beach. Well, Palm Beach basically in its entirety. Dwyer was a school I was thinking of. So it's going to be a challenge, obviously, to get some Maureen Wingo, but Miami is doing work there. And there are other dudes as well. But, Miami just continues to have top 100 players beating a path to campus for visits. And it's not just the Palmetto Five, again, you know what I mean? Or not just Chaminade, not just local elite players. I mean, having them come down, like Derek Cooper being there a lot from Chaminade and things like that, is very good. But the net is being cast nationally, and you're getting elite recruits nationally to continue to come to campus for these visits. So, there was some position elsewhere that, this recruiting class in 26 was going to see a big bump from Cam Ward and what the offense and team did last year. I was skeptical of that at first, but through this part of the cycle going into, the late spring, summer, I think that we're seeing positive movement there. There's just been a preponderance of elite prospects coming on down the road to see Coral Gables, and that's going to continue. And Javari Flowers from Miami Northwestern, the highest ranked 2025 unsigned player, who was a 26 player, but he reclassified up. He's currently down for his official visit. He's committing somewhere next Monday. We'll see what happens with him, because he reclassified up, but obviously he's still in high school. He's not, enrolling early. So I don't know. I mean, I would definitely take Javari Flowers. I think that, as a nickel slot defender, which is a starting position, by the way, and as a return man, which is a starting position, by the way, I think that he can have immediate value for this roster. Miami spent so much in the portal and in recruiting in the secondary. It would be an easier pill to swallow, especially financially, if Javari Flowers was still in the class of 2026. But he is still a Miami caliber player, and obviously we have him on campus for an official visit right now. So we'll see where that one goes.
The top of Florida State's board has a number of players that hail from locations, at least the first two, that it would seem would be within Miami's reach, that Miami would have some interest.
Yeah, I mean, Tadarius Hughes, that's a guy that Miami is continuing to recruit. Ephraim White, the wide receiver, is not really a name that's been on our board too much, nor Darrell Bell. But yeah, they're, our players committed all over the place that Miami continues to go. Tama Tapalui was committed. He's from Mater Dei. He was committed to Oregon, decommitted the other day. He's visiting this weekend. USC is pushing very strongly, of course, because he goes to Mater Dei. USC, for all those schools, back in the early 2000s, they nicknamed those schools with USC nicknames. It was Mater Dei, US Sarah for the Sarah where Adoree Jackson went, not the J Sarah or Bosco that Uyangalele went to. No, the other one, the red and blue team. So, but if you're a star player at those schools, you go to USC. So it's understandable they're trying to get back to that. But he's visiting Miami this weekend. So too is Chris Henry Jr., son of the late great Chris Henry from West Virginia, who is being raised now by Adam Pac-Man Jones and his family after his former teammate had passed away some years ago. He is committed to Ohio State, but as a 5-star wide receiver, he's coming down to Miami. Again, this is a player that he has visited Miami when he was an underclassman, had a strong early interest in Miami. Miami has continued to be connected with Chris Henry Jr. and getting him on campus and everything. So that's just another instance of an elite player committed elsewhere that Miami is still going to pursue. Tredarian Ball, was the Oregon commit running back, offensive weapon player. So yeah, there are a lot of guys that are coming down. This weekend's supposed to be massive, huge, with a pool party on Saturday. Mario Cristobal himself said that the first scrimmage of the spring is this Saturday. So it'll be spring scrimmage and then recruiting pool party for all these recruits that are coming down, and there's an impressive list. So, we will see everything continue to push, but we're going after a lot of really, really, really good players. Obviously way more than we could sign all of them. I'm interested to see where this class goes, but with this momentum, with this staff, and just, the direction of this program, I'm targeting top 5 nationally for this class. Miami continues to be the number 1 recruiting team in the ACC. Cool. We got that. Like that's not a thing that I'm even considering not happening anymore, because we continue to do that even off of bad seasons. But now you need to elevate to not just be the best in your little pond, but be the best in the big ocean. You know what I mean? So we need to make that move. We're getting the kind of players on campus to be able to make that leap forward, which is substantial. But I think that we can do that.
Speaking of little ponds and big oceans, is there any type of photos or video or anything that leak out from these pool parties?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
there are. I mean, Mark Richt he was taught how to do a backflip off the 40 off the tall, the 20, 30 meter diving board, because we have like an Olympic swimming and diving program. So like we have that as a varsity sport. So they have the high meter, I think it's 20 meters. But he would do a backflip off of that. And then it's just, guys around and then just kind of hanging out, but it's right there on campus, middle of campus, right at the university patio, the UC pool, and everything. So yeah, no, they do that and they hang out. And then, I mean, just because you're around, I'm sure that the, guys from On 3 and 247 will be, parked over by the food court and just be like, okay, cool. I see this player and I see this guy, and maybe I'll catch you for an interview, either coming in or going out or whatever. So yeah, there are some of those things, but yeah, no, this has been a thing in different iterations, but the same kind of a thing that Miami's done for years in recruiting.
All right. Folks, we do this every Wednesday night. So if you're not here on a regular basis, this is where you can be each and every Wednesday night. And just a reminder to the old timers to let people know. I know you're comfortable with your spot with us when you pull up each and every Wednesday night, but tell others, 1, 2, or 50. Let's get some more people in here for these Miami shows. And of course, Cam also providing some additional content, whether that be live or recorded. So be looking out for all of that. Plus what's on State of the U.
True. But before we get there, missed the super chat from Paulo. But thank you, first of all, for that. Question: if Miami lands Jackson Cantwell, the number 1 offensive tackle, arguably the number 1 player in America, who should be their next target of that caliber? I mean, if I just go quickly to player rank, please stop loading these ads because I was trying to select something. Player rankings, cool. In this class, so Jackson Cantwell, let me go to the composite because I always use the composite. He's number 1 on the composite, so there's no one else of comparable skill. But another high caliber, I mean, Chris Henry Jr. is 9th on the composite right now, so I think him. I don't know if we can get involved with Brandon Arrington, 6'2", 180 athlete out of California, but he's ranked 8th in the composite. Savion Hyder from Virginia, a running back, 5'11.5", 200. He does have an offer for Miami. Don't know if we can get involved. Lamar Brown from Baton Rouge University Lab High School, number 14 in America. This is another kid who's visiting this weekend, and some people like him. He plays left tackle in high school. Some people like him at tackle. Some people like him at guard. Miami reportedly is maybe looking at him at defensive tackle. And with the size that he has and the athleticism, maybe he is an elite game changer. And on the composite, he's ranked 14th. Mark Bowman, the tight end from Mater Dei, again, Mater Dei. He's ranked 15th on the composite. So maybe him. Yeah, so like there are a couple of names right there just off the top of the composite in the top 15 where it's like, okay, if you get Jackson Cantwell, who else? And all of those guys that I mentioned have offers and connections with Miami, if not already having visits lined up. So it's not just those guys either. There are more. Like I said, you have Tredarian Ball, you have all these dudes who let me go one more time back and then look at the official visit list for what's scheduled already. Johnny Jones, that was the name of the offensive lineman, JJ 6'6", 305 from Tampa Berkeley Prep. He's top 150. You're going to take him regardless. Ashari Charles from Venice, the edge rusher, 6'2", 230, top 150. You'll take him regardless. Cannon Pickett, DJ Pickett's younger cousin. Throw him inside from tackle to guard in college. Cool. Jay Lamar from Colquitt County, running back who's seeing a meteoric rise along the lines of what happened with Jahmyr Gibbs because he averaged like 11 yards a carry in high school as a junior. Cool. That's a guy that you would go after. Blake Stewart from Woodward Academy in Atlanta. That's a guy that you would take regardless. Luke Sorensen, the tight end from Anaheim Servite. Shout out to Anaheim. That's where your boy was born. Take him anytime. Justice Fitzpatrick, Minka Fitzpatrick's younger brother, who family moved where? Fort Lauderdale. So he goes to what school? St. Thomas Aquinas. He has an official visit. You'll take him, and you know his brother. James Johnson, one of the top offensive linemen in America. He lived on the west coast of Florida. He moved to Miami. What schools he attend now? Miami Northwestern, over there on 71st Street. Excuse me, because Central is on 95th Street. I don't know why Northwestern is south of Central, but I digress. But he's a 5-star talent. So you'll take him. I could keep, oh my God, Hezekiah Kent from Brunswick, Georgia. This guy is 6'5.5", 300 pounds, playing tight end. I personally, you don't even need a cheeseburger to move from tight end to tackle. Eric Winston played tight end in high school. Shut up. You're a 6th offensive lineman as a freshman wearing number 85, and then go to the training table, get a couple more protein shakes. You're going to play left tackle and go to the league and, played very well for a good long time and was president of the NFLPA, right? This kid is a freak. Hezekiah Kent. Or he goes by Heze, but Hezekiah. That kid that everybody in America wants, go look up his film. Heze is the first name. Kent, like Clark Kent, is the last name. I've mentioned him on here before. Stupid. It doesn't make sense that a man that big moves like that. But he has an offer and has taken visits and has an official visit. I could continue going down the list. There are plenty of guys of elite caliber. I haven't even gotten to any 3-star, whether it's proprietary on 247 or on the composite. All these names I've mentioned, 4 and 5-star. Every single one that I've mentioned so far, right? Breck College from IMG, 4-star. Braden Robinson, speed receiver from Red Oak, Texas. This kid can fly. He's 5'8", 160, but you offset that because he has legit 4.4 speed as a high school junior. I think he's ran almost 10 flat in the 100. This is a guy who you have coming in for a visit. Joel Irvin, fine. He's a 3-star. He's a little underrated. Trust and believe he's not going to end up anything lower than a 4-star. Chris Henry Jr., Lamar Brown, Derek Cooper, Booby Feaster, Ethan Feaster from DeSoto, Texas, the wide receiver. He's still on the board. Chauncey Kennan from Sarasota Booker, arguably one of the best, if not the best cornerback in this class, has a visit. So I say that to say, no matter where you look at what level of the team, offense, defense, there are elite players already listed with official visits. And I didn't even talk about, so many dudes throughout the course of this section or the course of this podcast that Miami is pushing for. This is what I'm talking about elevating the caliber of players who are coming through the door. And with all of that talent being interested in Miami and making multiple unofficial visits and then coming down for officials, firmly this needs to be a top 5 class. But there are plenty of names that I've given you, Paulo, in answer to your question, and there's probably even more that you guys are saying in the chat or as you're watching this back later, be like, Calvin Russell from Miami Northwestern, the wide receiver. Hadn't mentioned him at all today until right now. 4-star, 5-star wide receiver locally. Boom. Everybody wants him. Why would you not mention him, Cam? I did mention him, and there are more. So at a point, you're going to have to obviously make the trade-off of, hypothetically speaking, you have one spot left. You have Chris Henry Jr. and you have Calvin Russell. You can only go after one. It's the same, it's the Batman in the movie, right? You can go here and save him. You can go here and save her, but you only get one there. You're not going to get both, right? What do you do? Is there a wrong answer? I don't really think so, because both players are 4-star, 5-star elite. Now, all things being equal, yeah, I would lean towards the local guy, but Chris Henry Jr. in modern day. Like, this is like a him guy. It's not just like, it's not saying Calvin Russell or random 3-star from Tacoma, Washington. Like, you're talking about 2 elite players, but you can only get one. There's going to be decisions like that to be made in this class. And I'm giving you so many names and so many positions. We're like, yeah, we're going after them, but at a point, we're going to have to differentiate between a 9.3 and a 9.1 and letting that 9.1 maybe leave. But yeah, there are plenty of names out there if we land Canwell who should be their next target of the caliber. But the good thing is, with every one of the names that I listed to you in answer to this question, Miami's already targeting all of those players, has already offered all those players, has already gotten all of those players to come down, or very soon to come down for unofficial visits. And most of them, if not all of them, have official visits already scheduled. So it's not just about Jackson Cantwell. And I get it. It's just, I get you're, asking the question to, push the conversation. But like, if you get him, who else? We're already working on him and many other else's. So that's just kind of a quick snapshot of things. But that also is why I'm targeting top 5 nationally for this class, because this is the kind of caliber of talent that Miami's connected with. And that's what it needs to be.
We so much appreciate you being here and making on back. I saw our buddy Ashley Pownell.
Yeah, AJ. Yeah.
Who makes the comment in the chat that he's a little late to the show, but he will rewatch. So all of you have that option. Keep that in mind when you're a few minutes late. Go back and rewatch what you missed. Otherwise, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Get here on time next Wednesday. Bring some folks with you.
Falcon and TRX, I have no idea what this comment was for right outside your daughter's window. The UC patio with the pool. Okay, so she lives over there. Okay, got it. So I was like, what? But yeah, I see you. AJ, what's going on? George must have watched from either last week or the week before. It was last week when the last question was about my experience at the University of Miami, and I was talking about doing dumb stuff and me being safe through the stupidity. And trust me, George, I didn't even. I told you one, not the one. I told you one stupid thing that I did. That list is much longer than one, but I appreciate that those well wishes. But yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, appreciate you all being here. Some really good questions, some really good conversation, and everything for James Scott, 5'8", 160 in terms of Braden Robinson. That's his size. Yeah, but I don't know that you got his speed, respectfully. So yeah, man, that's what we got.
All right. State of the U in good shape. Everything going well there?
State of the U is doing great. Justin Tatavio talking about tight ends tomorrow. I did keep up with my welcome to the U's for Javian Mallory. I was actually taking a nap. Shout out to me, because I do it a lot when we get commits, apparently. But that was on Saturday after his unofficial visit. Had that up on Sunday and everything. Got a couple other great things for you. I'm not even going to tell you what they are, but you see the website address right there underneath my face, stateoftheu.com. Please come on over and fan with us. My personal Twitter is at Underwood Sports, and all of the things, socials for the website at the State of the U. James Scott says that he was a 4.38 40 guy back in his day. That is real fast. But yeah, you can read fast, you can read slow, you can watch videos, you can do even more. StateofTheU.com, or hear the voice of college football, where there's this show on Wednesdays at 7 and much more content on this channel. So please make sure that you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll check you guys.